West Coast is on fire. Antarctica has seen temperatures 70 degrees higher than average this summer, and hurricanes have been severing in effect over the last few years. We have seen these trends annually. However, you do not have to look into research articles in newspapers to see these effects, because you can see it right in your own backyard. Illinois has been suffering a terrible drought over the last summer. Crops have been dying, and crop yield has been going down, and as a result, prices are going up at grocery stores. In addition to this, we have seen flash floods over the last 2 months. Rainfall has, I do not need to remind you guys about the rainfall 2 weekends ago on Saturday, where we saw multiple flood alerts across Illinois. We saw terrible lightning, and we saw the Champaign Weather Broadcasting Station itself become flooded. So what is the cause of this? Climate change. Climate change is a growing issue that concerns both climate researchers and first and third world citizens. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association have found positive correlations between high CO2 levels and severe weather effects. To combat this, researchers have been working on decreasing the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, and one of the prime ways that they've been doing this is through decreasing our CO2 through our energy production technologies. Renewable energy is an example of this. Renewable energy is our solar, it's our wind, it's our biofuels. Renewable energy aims to solve resource scarcity and decrease the amount of CO2 that we are pumping into the atmosphere. And specifically, the technology that I am excited to talk to you guys about today specifically revolves around a plant that you guys might find in your local lake or pond, algae. So I need to establish a bit of a baseline credibility here, just so you guys believe me. I worked with the university as a lab assistant, specifically researching biofuel, second generation biofuels. And I have researched a great deal about it, both for and not for this project, so I feel that I am a credible speaker on this. And the topic that I want to inform you guys on today is specifically why algae is such a benefit to researchers studying biofuel technologies. Just a bit of background, biomass is an organic material. Biomass can be grass, it can be food waste, it can be people, anything that can break down, that is a biomass. Biofuel is a fuel that is made out of these biomass organic materials. The biofuel process specifically refers to the way that we make biofuel. In general, you just take a biomass, you heat it up, you pressurize it, it makes crude oil. You take this crude oil, you refine it through laboratory processes, and then it makes biofuel. And this biofuel can then be used as jet fuel, it can be used as car fuel, it can be used as anything. Algae, it can also be used with this because it is an organic matter. So my main point one is that algae has great biological features that make it an awesome biological resource input. So specifically, algae has insane oil to yield rates per hectare. Yusuf Kisti, professor of fermentation tech at Massey University in New Zealand, has found that corn only has an oil yield of about 200 liters per hectare, whereas in comparison, microalgae have an oil yield of about 50,000 to 150,000 liters per hectare. This is an insane increase. Another reason is that algae reproduces quickly. Bruce Rittman of the Biodesign Center at Arizona State University has found that algae doubles at a rate of 1 per day. This is in comparison to other organic biomass that people have tried using in their biofuel research, and those typically double at a rate of 2 weeks. This is 14 times faster. Algae reproduces quickly. Another reason is that microalgae grows in poor conditions. A bioengineer research article written by Pierre Schenk at the University of Queensland in Australia has found that microalgae grows well with salty and wastewater. You cannot take other plants like corn or sunflowers and dump a bunch of wastewater and salt water on it. You'll kill it. However, microalgae thrives in these conditions. It allows us to use our resources more efficiently when we do this. And algae can be great, but it can be even better. Algae itself is a generation type 3 biofuel, meaning that it is better than generations 1 and 2. However, because it has better oil yields and it doesn't impede on people's abilities to use resources. However, there is a generation type 4 that is coming out, specifically in research, that revolves around genetically modified algae, where these genetically modified algae can be better for biofuel production because we can modify it the way that we want to. We can say how much we want it to produce. We can say what environments we want it to thrive in. We can give it a whole variety of instructions and it'll do these things. So algae has great potential as a 4th generation biofuel. Reason one, microalgae is great as a 4th generation biofuel because it has more economic feasibility than a 3rd generation biofuel. Tyler Johnson of South Dakota State University has done financial and theoretical research into the topic and found that 4th generation microalgae farms typically produce around $600 million per 5 years, whereas 3rd generation microalgae farms only produce around $400 million per 5 years. And reason 2 is that 4th generation algae skip the refinery process. Jing Liu of the China University in Beijing has done biological and theoretical research and found that microalgae acts as the cell factor when manipulated. This is crazy. This means that algae skips the crude oil and upgrade processes that most 3rd generation and 1st through 3rd generation oils need to go through. This means that in theory, you could take a tube, you could put algae, you could put CO2, you could have the sun shine on it, and the output that the algae would produce is literally the oil that is literally the fuel that you could put in your car, the fuel that you could put in your jet. It's crazy. It's just crazy the way that just works. And it's just such a revolution for energy in general. In conclusion, microalgae are great because they have great biological pre-existing features, and they have a great potential as a 4th generation biofuel energy inputs. Reducing carbon is complicated, it's constrained by science, it's constrained by financials, it's a complicated mess. However, only by embracing non-orthodox means can we actually find sustainable and feasible ways for businesses and society and infrastructure to combat